What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another video. This is your pregame prediction video for Week 11 between the Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings. The Cowboys are coming off a tough loss. They're 6-3 right now, but the Minnesota Vikings are coming off one of the most impressive wins this season from any team. They're sitting at 8-1. Let's go to talk about it.
Down the field, Lamb, 10-5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.
Before we jump in, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more Cowboys content. And if you haven't, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter. Be sure to follow me on all of those social media platforms for more Cowboys content. And just thank you so much, guys. I saw the Cowboys and Packers video, has a little bit more momentum, has a lot of more views than what I've had previously. I think partially just because people like it when Cowboy fans suffer, so they just want to see our reactions. Regardless, if that's the reason why you're subscribing, thank you. But if you're a true Cowboys fan, well, I appreciate you just a little bit more. But like I said, the Cowboys got a big game. Big game. This is, as the thumbnail says, this is a playoff game. This is straight up a playoff game. I don't think it's going to be legitimately like a wild card playoff game. Well, actually, maybe. But it could be a divisional matchup. This could be very much so something that we may see in the playoffs. Regardless, these are two really good teams. One sitting at 6-3, and the other team sitting at 8-1, and both have very impressive wins on their resume, and they really have great teams. I mean, you look at both these teams, they're really well put together. And I will say this, we got to calm down. And I'm talking to myself as well. A little bit of an overreaction for how the Dallas Cowboys lost last week. And like I said, it's not about how you're going to lose games in the season. I understand that. But I think it was just the way that they lost that game was just so brutal. It was regardless. But if we take a step back, and this team is still good. The Cowboys are still good. They're 6-3. The season's not over. But if they lose this game, it's going to be pretty bad. I mean, we dropped down to 6-4, then we take on the New York Giants on Thanksgiving. But the Cowboys are 4-1 at home. They're 2-2 on the road. And I tweeted about this. I said that the Cowboys, more than likely, if they don't win the NFC East, they're going to have to go on the road. And right now, they're 2-2 on the season. And so not really where you want to be at when that could potentially be the way that you have to go through the playoffs. But regardless, the Cowboys play this is their fourth NFC North opponent, and they're 2-1 in the season. We beat the Lions, we beat the Bears, we lost to the Packers. So are we going to split it even, or are we going to, win out and have a 75% winning percentage against the NFC North? But also, this is the third straight year the Cowboys are playing the Vikings. And if you want to know, the Cowboys are 2-1 in those past three matchups. The Cowboys and Vikings met at AT&T Stadium. That's when Kellen Moore was just a terrible offensive coordinator, still is, but we lost 28-24. Then we came back, and the last two matchups actually have not been with Dak Prescott. So if you want to put it in a weird way, when the Vikings play the Cowboys without Dak Prescott, we win, but when we do have Dak Prescott, we lose. I'm not twisting it in any way. I'm just reading the facts there. That's literally how it was, because that 2020 matchup was with Andy Dalton. 2021 last year was with Cooper Rush. Regardless, and I'm going to talk about that. Because the Cowboys, they're like a dog chasing cars. And they don't know what to do. If they're just, you give them too much weapons, and they don't know how to control it. They don't know how to use it appropriately. And they just overthink, and they hurt themselves way too much. Regardless, I'm getting way off topic here. We got to jump into this game here. And like I said, the Cowboys are 2-1 in the past 3 years that they matched up. Again, are we going to go 2-2? Are we going to split it? Or are we going to go for the 75% winning percentage? But let's talk about this. Kirk Cousins versus the Cowboys and their defense. Let's break it down, because we've seen Kirk Cousins. It's just not a Minnesota Vikings Dallas Cowboys matchup. We saw him when he was a Washington Redskin back in the day, and all-time record that Kirk Cousins has against the Dallas Cowboys is he's 2-8. So he's not very good in prime time, nor is he very good against the Dallas Cowboys. So that's something to keep in mind. Obviously, he has a better team here, but he also had a good team last year, and look what happened last year. But regardless, my opinion about Kirk Cousins is he's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. But in a lot of ways, the team only goes as far as he goes. So if he makes a mistake, if he makes an error, or if he's smart with the ball, that's how far the team's going to go. And I think that's really what you're going to see in this matchup here. Depending on how Kirk Cousins plays, I think that's going to determine how this game goes. And you could also reverse that and say the same thing about Dak Prescott too. But I want to give my respect to the Minnesota Vikings here. They're 8-1, obviously, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those wins, and because they didn't get a win over an opponent with the winning record until last week when they played the Buffalo Bills, and it took a ridiculous miracle fumble to do it. But regardless, they're 8-1, and they have a very talented team. As I broke this down, I can't imagine what Dan Quinn is doing, and he's probably scratching his head, having some late nights looking at this team. Because respect to this team, obviously you got to handle Kirk Cousins, who's an above-average quarterback in the NFL. I would say he's in that top 16. And now you got to worry about the tight end. You got to worry about Hawkinson, TJ Hawkinson, who they just traded for from the Detroit Lions. Who tight ends, like good tight ends, solid tight ends, have always been a kryptonite to any Cowboys defense. Whether it's Rob Gronkowski, TJ Hawkinson, Kyle Rudolph from a couple of years ago, just any kind of solid tight end that you can think of. The Cowboys always struggle with those matchups, as the same that they do with mobile quarterbacks. So TJ Hawkinson has been a great addition to that offense. And then Justin Jefferson. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know if I would say he's the top wide receiver, because there is Stephon Diggs, but definitely top 3. He's definitely one of the better wide receivers in the game today, and that's going to be a handful come Sunday. I'll talk about that a little bit later, because we have a man named Trayvon Diggs who can respond that way. And then you got Dalvin Cook, who's just a very solid running back, and he's had his days against the Cowboys where he's ran against us and had really good, solid days. And he's someone that they could push the offense through. And if Dalvin Cook gets over 100, 125 yards, I mean, their tempo of offense is already established. So I'll just start the video there. This is probably one of the more impressive teams that the Cowboys are going to see this year. And rightfully so. They're 8-1, and the Cowboys have their hands full. And like I said again, this is a playoff game. This is a playoff team. The Vikings are going to be in the playoffs. So I'm not as anxious as I am, because the Vikings, I don't really have emotional or personal ties to them where I'm like, we got to beat them. We got to beat them. But they're also always, their matchups are always perfect timing for the Cowboys, whatever year it is, because it's a good place to measure the team and see exactly where we're at. And so more than anything, I'm not really anxious to see how the Cowboys perform. I'm more excited to see where they are, and are they the real deal or not? Because how the Cowboys respond defensively, but also as a team to this game, is going to tell us a lot about what we thought this team was in the first half of the season, then how they've been after the bye week. So it's a big measuring marker to see this team, to see the Cowboys play the Vikings. But let's talk about this. Kirk Cousins. How's he going to match up against the defense? And who's going to win this matchup? Because I think, like I said, Kirk Cousins, I think the offense and the team goes as far as he goes. He's having a great season. But the Cowboys still have a good defense, in the sense that they can still get after the quarterback. They can still pressure him. And I think the Cowboys have a really good chance of getting back to that this Sunday. I think they can get back to that. It's just hard for me to believe just how the Cowboys are going to put up 3 straight performances where they've looked terrible defensively in terms of rush. There just has to be some sort of improvement. And I'm just depending on that there's guys in that locker room, and J-Ron Curse was very vocal about it this past week. Follow me on my Instagram, because I did tweet, or I did post about what he said. But basically, they're holding each other accountable, and they want to get better. I'm hearing that from the locker room. I know Dan Quinn wants to get better. I know this team has high standards for itself. I'm just expecting a better performance defensively from this team come Sunday. And so I think we get to Kirk Cousins. I think we're going to get to him. I think we're going to get a couple sacks on him, several sacks on him, and you'll hear that in my prediction later on here. But then next, let's talk about, because this is the thing about the Vikings offense, is one thing leads to another. Because if you don't stop Kirk Cousins, well, then you got to kind of worry about Justin Jefferson. And Justin Jefferson, like I said, is just explosive. I mean, he's such a great wide receiver. Top 3, top 2, whatever you want to. He's just one of the best in the NFL at the moment. Now, that's going to be eye-catching because Trayvon Diggs is going to be on him. Now, I personally believe anytime Trayvon Diggs is going to be on him, you won't hear a peep out of Justin Jefferson. But if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I'm doing everything in my power to get Justin Jefferson out of the area, out of Trayvon Diggs' zone or his man coverage or whatever they're playing defensively on that specific play. Trayvon Diggs is going to play solid. He's had a really great year, arguably better than last year, even though he had more interceptions last year. Arguably, he's had a better season statistically in terms of yards this year. But if I'm the Vikings, man, you got to get on Anthony Brown. You got to get on DaRon Bland. That's where you got to attack if you want Justin Jefferson to have a big game. Now, I don't think Justin Jefferson is going to have a big game like he did last week. I think Anthony Brown should be healthy. It kind of depends on that. And it kind of sucks making these videos on Thursday and not on Friday or Saturday just because I don't have the full injury report. So it's hard to say. But I think the Cowboys contain Justin Jefferson. They have in past few years. I know it's a different year, but I just feel that the pressure is going to contribute to that, and they're not going to get the ball out as much as they want to. Now, on the other side of that, now you got to worry about the rush defense because that's been the biggest weakness for the Cowboys so far this season. And you're going up against a great running back like Dalvin Cook. Now, let's take a look at this, the statistics because last week I was telling you guys about how the Packers statistically looked better on paper than the record actually said. Obviously, the record is what the record is, but there are some underlining things that actually look pretty good on paper, and obviously it showed up. They beat the Cowboys. Same thing here, but it's reverse. Because for an 8-1 team, I expected these statistics and their rankings to be a little bit higher. So I think there's a little bit of deception, and we touched on that a little bit. Is that the Vikings have not beaten a team with the winning record until last week against the Buffalo Bills, and it took a miraculous fumble to do it, although they won in overtime. But point still stands. But also, these numbers are very deceptive. They're 18th in offense. They're 23rd in defense. They're 10th in passing. Obviously, Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson are a really good matchup there. And they're 25th in rushing. So something isn't really adding up here. And that's why I think this game's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people imagine. But weirdly enough, the Cowboys are opened up as favorites. And on top of that, you don't got to worry about Justin Jefferson. You got to worry about Adam Thielen as well, who's had a small, deceptive good season this year. So I'll just say that. I think the Vikings are a little deceptive with their record. And their statistics on paper show a different story. And I think the Cowboys can definitely exploit that. And they have an opportunity to bounce back this week. My defensive predictions this week, I think the Cowboys get to Kirk Cousins 4 times. I think so. I think we get to him 4 times. And you know what? I'm going to go out there and say Trayvon Diggs gets an interception. I think he gets an interception. 4 sacks and 1 interception for this defense. I think they're going to get back to where they left off a couple weeks ago, and they're going to get back to the way that we've been talking about them. Now let's talk about this offense. I talked a lot about the defense, and rightfully so. Like I said, the Vikings are one of the more impressive teams that we're going to see this year, and I'm really just amazed about the talent that they have offensively. So I spent a good portion talking about that because that's really what it's going to come down to. But this offense, I only have one note. Only one note. And if they can do this, they will be very successful. Run the damn ball. I don't use that word a lot on this channel. I try to keep it G-rated for y'all. I'm for the kids here. But just please, run the ball. Just stop thinking about money. Stop thinking about where the money is. I know we paid Dak this much, whatever. But just do what it takes to win the game. Dak can have a clean stat line. I envision a game where remember that game he had against the Detroit Lions where it was just the cleanest of stat lines. I can't remember it off the top of my head. It was like 20 of 24, like 150 yards and a touchdown. And everyone was so mad about it. Like, are you kidding me? Like, he should throw. No. The more important thing is they won 24-6 and Dak did exactly what he needed to. I envision a game like that. I hope to God that they run the ball because nothing statistically has pointed against the fact that the Cowboys are not good at running the ball. In that loss against the Green Bay Packers, Tony Pollard wasn't struggling. He ran for over 100 yards. And shout out to my friends, Cowboys Can Fan, who on Instagram said that Dak Prescott threw the ball 46 times. If you, at 14 of those attempts, if you just swap it the other way, instead of passing, if you run it instead, there's a very good chance that we win that Green Bay Packers game. And I completely agree. Just run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And I know a lot of people are going to comment down below, well, Dak Prescott, he turned the ball over. You don't have to worry about miscommunication, and you don't have to worry about Dak Prescott letting that ball go from his hand if you have the ball on the ground. You get what I'm saying here? You don't have to worry about what's going to happen when that ball leaves Dak's hands and whether CD's on a different communication or a different route. If you run the ball, statistically, Dak doesn't have to throw it as much and you're not running that big of a risk anymore. So run the ball because Ezekiel Elliott should be back this week. And even if he isn't, Tony Pollard can carry the load. He's shown that the past couple of weeks. So run the ball. We look very good when we're running the ball. Just run the ball. Run the ball. It's not that hard. Don't make it difficult. Just run the ball. I'm going to keep saying it. And I'm going to be so frustrated, mad, angry if I see the Cowboys throw it for 40 plus times. Please, no. That's a setup for failure. And I'm going to blame Kellen Moore. Dak Prescott's going to have to take control. He's going to have to check out of passing plays and be like, look, it's 3rd and 1. I'm not doing your reverses anymore. I'm going to run this ball. I'm going to run it myself. Just run the ball. My prediction for the offense, Tony Pollard has another great game. 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards. I'm going to keep it simple because I think that's exactly what they should do. Run the ball. Can someone give me a hat that just says run the ball? I want that. Just run the ball. Just run the ball. Run the ball. Just do it, man. Please, someone make a video out there of the amount of times that I've said that in this video. But anyways, my prediction. Like I said, I think the Vikings are a little deceptive with being 8-1 with the opponents that they played, but not to take away from them being a really talented team, because they really are. I'm really impressed, and I talked about them a lot in this video. I'm really impressed. They have a lot of firepower, and they can really go deep in the playoffs. I have a lot of respect for this team. But the Cowboys, I think they bounce back. I believe they bounce back. I'm not going to say think anymore. I'm going to believe the Cowboys bounce back. And just this defense, I'm going to trust that they do have accountability in each other. And I think they bounce back. I believe they bounce back. So I'm going to choose the Cowboys in a close one. And I think it's going to come down to the 4th quarter. I think it's going to come down to a final drive. And it's either going to be Kirk or Dak that's going to have to get the win for either of their teams. But it comes down to the 4th quarter. But I do believe the Cowboys win. And my score prediction is the Cowboys win 24-20. Boy, oh boy, if the Cowboys lose this game, guys, that's trouble. That is trouble. But we're not going to talk about that. We'll wait till the post-game reaction video. Hopefully it's another. I believe this team's going to bounce back. They should bounce back. They really should. They really should. But let's take a trip down memory lane. Let's talk about our favorite Cowboys-Vikings moment. There's a whole lot to choose from. This is actually a very old storied rivalry, back to the Tony Dorsett days, back to the Hail Mary. A lot of things you can choose from. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to talk about last year. Last year was such a special game. The Cowboys did not have Dak Prescott. He was still dealing with his injury from the ankle. And Cooper Rush got his first start, and he got the win on Sunday Night Football prime time. Just a really special win for a lot of personal reasons for me. It was a really special win last year. But just a really great win. And I think it was probably my favorite win last year. Just a good team win. So that's one of my favorite Cowboy Vikings moments, but very personal to me, why I really enjoyed that last year. But other than that, comment down below what you think about the Cowboys and Vikings this coming week. It's a playoff game, man. It's a playoff game. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to watch it. Like I said, I'm more excited than I am anxious because I just want to see where this team is at. It's like a relationship. I just want to see, before I emotionally invest more into this, I want to know, is this the real deal? Just show me. Just let me know now. Just let me know now, Cowboys. I'll be back Sunday after the game for the post-game reaction video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me on all my social media, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. I'll see you guys Sunday. Go Cowboys.
Looking down the field, Lamb, 10-5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.